March 11, 2025. A normal live stream. Eri Sato, 22 years old, was walking Tokyo's Yamanote line. A casual on-foot challenge she'd promised her followers. Thousands watching. Until she screamed. The screen went black. Then came the horror. A 13-centimeter survival knife. 43 stab wounds. Neck, head, chest. Viewers thought it was fake. It wasn't. She died on camera. Her name was Eri Sato. She was 22 years old, a rising live streamer from Tokyo. On the streaming platform Fuwachi, she was known as a Mogami, a name that translated to the ultimate love. Fuwachi is a Japanese live streaming site similar to Twitch, where creators broadcast everything from casual chats and daily vlogs to walking tours and donation-based challenges. It's especially popular among young viewers, and its top streamers can earn substantial income. With her charming appearance and emotional delivery, she quickly gained popularity. She wasn't just popular on Fuwachi, she was one of its top earners. Eri held the rare Platinum Plus badge, a rank given only to the platform's most profitable streamers. Her streams mix flirtation, confessions, and reactive challenges, drawing a loyal fan base and occasional criticism. While her online image was carefully curated and full of charm, her real life was far less glamorous. Eri grew up in Yamagata Prefecture. Her childhood wasn't just troubled, it was shaped by betrayal from those who should have protected her. From as early as middle school, her mother would bring her to hostess bars and force her to entertain grown men. She would order expensive bottles of alcohol, then laugh and tell the staff, "Put it on my daughter's tab." Eri was barely a teenager, still wearing a school uniform, but she was already learning that love came with a price. By her late teens, she was working full-time in hostess clubs and bars, trying to survive while her mother watched from the sidelines. At just 18, Eri gave birth to a child. The identity of the father was never made public, and Eri never acknowledged him in her broadcasts. But those around her say one thing clearly: she was not ready to be a mother. Eri became the kind of parent she herself once suffered under. She left the child in a care facility shortly after birth. Even when her night shifts ended, she wouldn't pick up the baby. She would go out drinking instead. The child was left behind, quietly removed from her life, barely acknowledged. Eri eventually found her way into live streaming around 2021. At first, it was simple: late-night chats, soft-spoken stories, casual questions like, "How was your day?" As her viewership grew, so did her content. She introduced donation-based reaction games: roll a dice, perform a reaction, crying, laughing, dancing on cue. It was unpredictable, emotional, addictive. One of her most popular segments was walking through Tokyo with a selfie stick, narrating everything in real time: her thoughts, her memories, her loneliness. By late 2023, she wasn't a casual streamer anymore. She was a full-time performer, generating income through digital tips and platform-based donations. Her fans felt like they truly knew her. Among her fans was Kenichi Takano. Takano, 42, was from Oyama City in Tochigi Prefecture. He had been diagnosed with schizophrenia years earlier, but his symptoms were mild. There were no obvious signs. His condition was not immediately apparent to others. He spoke softly, carried himself with quiet manners, and lived without drawing attention. He even wore a small help badge, a common sign in Japan, indicating a person may need quiet assistance. But to most, he looked no different from anyone else. He worked for a small company that sold collectible figurines online, managing their e-commerce website and handling customer service. By all accounts, he was diligent and punctual, the kind of employee who never called in sick, never missed a deadline. He kept to himself, rarely speaking unless spoken to, but never caused trouble. There were no reports of conflict at work, no history of violence, no disciplinary actions. His savings account held over 1.5 million yen, modest but stable. He lived alone in a small apartment, followed the same daily routine, and for years, nothing about his life stood out. But that quiet existence began to shift in late 2021. He subscribed to Aries streams in November. For the next 8 months, he became a regular presence, donating, commenting, reacting, a devoted fan. They eventually began exchanging direct messages. At some point, he even visited her at the hostess bar where she worked. To him, it felt like a connection. She seemed to open up. But behind the scenes, a cruel pattern emerged. Aries first told him she was struggling with small things. A phone bill she couldn't pay, rent that was overdue. She asked for modest amounts, 10,000 yen here, 20,000 yen there, around $65 to $130. Takano, eager to help someone he felt close to, sent the money without hesitation. But soon, the requests became more serious. She said her sister was sick, vomiting blood, barely able to stand. Takano was alarmed, but that wasn't the end of it. The next message was worse. Her sister, she claimed, had fallen into debt. Loan sharks were after her. They might come to her house. They might hurt her. Aries' tone became desperate. Aries claimed she didn't know what else to do. By then, Takano had already given her everything he could. His savings were gone. He told her he had nothing left to offer. But she didn't stop. Instead, she gave him instructions. The names of loan companies. Where to go. What forms to fill out. What documents to bring. It wasn't vague. It was step by step. She told him exactly how to take out a loan from a consumer finance company, Japan's version of legal moneylenders, often associated with high interest rates, the kind most people avoid unless they're truly desperate. Takano had never taken out a loan before. He hesitated, said he couldn't do it. But then came another message, more desperate than the last. According to Takano, she said that if no one helped her, prostitution might be her only way out. That broke him. He walked into the loan office, signed the forms, took the cash, and gave it to her. By the end, Takano had given her over 2.5 million yen, nearly $17,000. He had gone into debt for her. Once the money dried up, the messages slowed. Then came the excuses, vague promises, endless delays. And finally, nothing. She moved on. When he finally confronted her, she sent him just 30,000 yen, barely $200. It was a fraction of what he had given her. In the end, he got back just 1.2% of the money he'd lent, nothing more. Then, she cut off contact completely. With no other option, he sued her. In late 2023, a Japanese court ruled in his favor, ordering her to repay the full amount. But Aries ignored the ruling. And under Japan's civil law system, that was the end of the road. Without her cooperation, Takano had no way to enforce the judgment. There were no wage garnishments, no asset seizures, nothing automatic. He had lost the money, and the only thing the court gave him was a piece of paper. Desperate, Takano begged her for even 10,000 yen, barely enough to cover food for a week. He thought it was over. She had taken his money, blocked him, and disappeared. But then, she contacted him again. Not alone, but with a man she introduced as her ex-boyfriend. At first, the man claimed he was just another victim, someone who had also lent Aries money. Out of nowhere, the two asked to meet him in person. He didn't understand why, but he agreed. There, they presented him with a document, a secrecy agreement. The document was clear and forceful. It stated that Takano Kenichi shall not disclose any information about Sato Aries, also known as a Mogami, to any third party by any means. It also prohibited him from interfering with her broadcasts or leaving malicious comments. And if he violated it, he would owe her 3 million yen, about $20,000, in penalties. They said Aries' public image was at risk, that if she was labeled a scammer, she wouldn't be able to make money, and without income, she couldn't pay him back. Takano was stunned. He said he wanted to speak to a lawyer first, but they pressured him, telling him to sign it right there, on the spot. And in the end, with nowhere to turn, he signed. But nothing changed. She still ignored his messages, still blocked him from her own streams. He had no way to reach her, so he found another way. One night, she appeared on a guest live stream, chatting casually with another streamer, laughing like nothing had happened. Takano saw it. It was his only chance. He joined the stream and donated 5 yen, the last of his money, hoping she'd notice his name. The donation triggered a small message alert on screen. The co-host squinted at the screen. "Isn't that the stalker you told me about?" Eri looked at the comment, paused, then said, loud enough for everyone watching to hear, "Gross." And right there, on live stream, she blocked him. No explanation, no hesitation, no mercy. Just a click and silence. Later, it was revealed. The man who helped pressure Takano into signing the secrecy agreement wasn't just Eri's ex. He was her fiancé. While Takano struggled to survive, they were living together in a luxury Tokyo apartment, renting for 300,000 yen a month. Eri, who once claimed she couldn't pay her phone bill, was now flaunting her wealth online. She posted photos from casino trips, rooftop bars, and high-end hotels. She smiled in photos with her fiancé at Disneyland. She showed off a ring from what appeared to be a public proposal. By September 2024, her streaming income had reached 950,000 yen per month, nearly $6,500. And yet, Takano never saw a yen. As she soaked in rooftop tubs and toasted with champagne, he lived in poverty, alone, humiliated, and forgotten. Behind the scenes, she was signed to her fiancé's entertainment agency. He took 50% of her income as a management cut, and from her remaining half, she paid his loan interests, rent, food, utilities, and splurged on herself too. Luxury bars, designer bags, rooftop spas. Whatever she had left, she spent. She paid the bills, then spoiled herself, and by the end of the month, there was barely anything left. So she turned to her viewers. Whenever she needed something, a phone bill, clothes, dinner, she reached out, and someone always sent money. Small donations, steady streams of support. And Takano. He was no longer useful. He had been blocked, erased, ignored. His messages went unanswered, his name unspoken, and all that was left was rage. On March 11, 2025, Eri Sato was live streaming a challenge, walking the entire Yamanote Line loop in Tokyo. She walked through the city with a selfie stick, chatting as she went. She rolled digital dice on screen and acted out reactions based on the result, laughing, dancing, or pretending to cry. Donations triggered sound effects. Viewers dropped in and out. It felt like hanging out with a friend on speakerphone. Nothing dramatic, just a girl walking through Tokyo with a camera. The stream started early that morning, with Eri broadcasting live from her phone as she moved from station to station. Takano was watching. He had seen her announce the walk the night before, even posted about it on X. He boarded a train from Oyama City in Tochigi and headed straight to Tokyo. In his bag was a 13-centimeter survival knife, purchased online weeks earlier. Takano didn't know exactly where she was, but he had something else, her stream. He watched closely, tracked her location by matching background buildings and station signage. And then, as she entered the Takadanobaba near Shinjuku, he found her. At 9:50 a.m., it happened. Viewers heard a scream, a sudden sharp cry. Then the camera shook violently, and the live stream cut out. What they didn't see was this. Takano stabbed her 43 times. She was stabbed repeatedly, in the neck, chest, and head. It happened on the street, in daylight, near a busy train station. He didn't run. Bystanders froze. Viewers, now horrified, flooded the stream platform with reports. Within minutes, the Tokyo Metropolitan Police arrived on scene. Takano was still there. He handed over the bloodied knife and confessed. "It's someone I know. We had trouble," he told officers. "I used this." Then he added, "I didn't think she'd die." Ari was rushed to the hospital. Doctors attempted emergency resuscitation, but her injuries were too severe. Just over an hour later, she was pronounced dead. For her fans, it didn't feel real. One moment, they were sending hearts in chat. The next, they were witnessing a murder. A live stream had become a crime scene. The chaos came instantly. Social media erupted. Her final scream, the sudden blackout, clips from the stream spreading faster than any news report. Unblurred images of her body were posted, reshared, and dissected. Rumors ignited. Conspiracies bloomed. Misinformation moved faster than facts. At first, it looked like a tragedy born from obsession. A deranged fan attacking a young streamer. But then, the narrative cracked. Takano was revealed to have been misled, extorted, and humiliated, publicly and privately. He had attempted every legal method before, finally snapping. This wasn't just a one-sided story, and the tone online began to shift. The public was divided. Some mourned her. Others blamed her, accusing her of manipulating vulnerable fans, exploiting sympathy for profit, and crossing ethical lines no streamer should ever cross. A small tribute site began to grow near the scene. Flowers, drinks, handwritten notes. But soon, it was tainted. People began leaving items not of mourning, but of mockery. Yellow irises appeared, flowers often associated with revenge. Sponges were placed on the ground, a cruel jab at her reputation for soaking up money from viewers. And then, there were cups of ice, meant to symbolize emotional coldness, or relationships that had gone numb and bitter. What was meant as a place of sorrow, twisted into a stage for blame. After the murder, something unexpected happened. All over Japan, people who had previously scammed others, friends, fans, even strangers, began paying their debts. Some sent quiet apologies. Others simply transferred money without a word. It was as if the tragedy had shaken something loose in the national conscience, triggering a strange, collective reckoning. This wasn't just a murder. It was a mirror, reflecting the darkest edges of fame, desperation, and online cruelty. A woman, an influencer, a victim. A man, a lender, a killer. A live stream turned into a snuff film. It wasn't just a killing. It was a reckoning. So who do you think pulled the trigger? Share your thoughts below. Thank you for watching Eastern Noir. Subscribe for more true crime stories from the East.